Jared from 30 Seconds to Mars, and you are watching Noise11.com.
Jared Leto from 30 Seconds to Mars joins us here at Noise 11. Good to have you in the country again.
Thanks so much.
And the new album, Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams.
That's right.
Bit of a labour of love, isn't it? Because, you know, there's a few little problems that popped up after the last record.
Yeah, there were. The last record, we had quite a few problems. We battled our record company. They sued us for $30 million. We made a film about it called Artifact, a documentary that's coming out later this summer. But this album is really great. It was wonderful to make an album without the pressures of battling an entire industry. So that was wonderful. And also we had been on the road for about 2.5 years, played far too many shows probably, but we learned a lot, and we took what we learned back into the studio.
Yeah. Being sued by the record company, which seemed ridiculous anyway, $30 million for a band that, I'm gathering there's not that much cash sitting in those pockets at this very moment.
Certainly not $30 million.
Yeah. How did you handle that news when you first heard it?
It was mind-blowing. The number was almost too big to conceptualize it, but it was very real. I mean, not only was there the kind of financial risk at stake, but the risk of losing our careers. But we felt like we had an important and just fight, and I'm glad that we stood up for what we believed in. And ultimately we were victorious, and we're here, and everything went exactly as it was supposed to.
And then the story gets told in a documentary, and that marvellous director, Bartholomew Cubbins,
Yeah.
gets to do some work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You get to do some more work. You nailed it on the head.
Yeah. How is he? A hard taskmaster to
He
work
is
for?
a pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
very dedicated when he's not on a binge somewhere in a hotel room, doing something unspeakable.
Now, one of the people interviewed in the documentary is a neuroscientist.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Well, he's an author as well as a neuroscientist who wrote a book called This Is Your Brain on Music, a phenomenal book about creativity, about music, and how it affects us. And I thought it would be interesting to interview him, to have almost like a voice of reason, someone who's not talking about politics or not talking about the business, but that's talking about music from a completely different place. And he did that. I think his contribution to the film was really wonderful.
Is Irving Azoff still your manager?
Yeah, Irving.
Yeah. That's a very high-profile man to have behind you.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And he's taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him, and he's a fantastic manager.
And what a history and a career that man's had with
Yeah,
Van
he really
Halen,
has.
Eagles, all those marvellous names behind him.
Yeah, he's done quite a few things, and we're happy to have him on board.
On the last record, there was a collaboration with Kanye West. Is there any guests coming up on the new record?
No, the only collaborations this time were with an Indian singer that I found when I was in India, in a place called Jodhpur. But this time we really kind of closed the door and focused on the songs themselves. It was exciting to collaborate last time. I look forward to doing that again in the future. But this time we didn't do that beyond our friend in India.
So it was December 2011 you started work writing the songs for this. Was it a quick process? Did the songs come together easy for you?
They did come easy. The initial inception, that creative spark was really great, and there was a lot of it. Finishing is always the hard part. The choices, the million choices you make for each measure are always the most challenging. It's never really, for me at least, the kind of initial stroke of creative, inspiration. But it takes a long time to finish, a couple years.
What was the first song you wrote for the album?
Well, I think the first song I wrote probably was City of Angels, because I wrote it a long time ago, but I could never finish it. And I actually started working on the record in April 2011. But City of Angels I wrote a long time ago. it just every time I tried to flesh it out beyond an acoustic guitar, it fell apart. But I think I needed to live a little bit. I needed to learn a little bit, and eventually got to where I needed to be in order for the song to come to life.
You started recording the album April 2012,
Yeah.
and you were in the studio until December 2012. Was it like that full on, like 8 or 9 months of continuous work?
It really was even more than that. I mean, it was April 2011 to just April of this year, so it was 2 years. And it was very much continuous in the studio for almost the whole time. The first 8 or 9 months I was on the road, so it was a lot of recording in hotel rooms. But from December 2011 to April, now it was in the studio for most of the time. Yeah.
Steve Lillywhite was recruited to co-produce with you on this record.
Yeah.
How much work did Steve do for the album?
He worked on 4 songs. He's a fantastic producer. He's worked with U2 and Rolling Stones, as we just talked about. A lot of great bands. But we worked with him on This Is War as well, and thought it would be fun to work with him again. So we brought him back, and he's crazy. He's out of his mind.
Let me take you back a couple of weeks, because I saw probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen for any rock band. Going into NASA, talking to an astronaut,
Yeah.
230 miles in the air,
Yeah.
who debuts your song to the planet. That
Yeah.
must have just been a mind trip that day.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Unforgettable. Once in a lifetime.
Mm.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was pure magic.
And just watching sort of, like him suspended in space.
Yeah.
And, like I was watching it live while it was happening too, and he'd be walking around the cabin. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
amazing, wasn't it?
Really taught me a lesson that the impossible is possible. It never hurts to ask. Because, I think of all kinds of crazy things like we often all do. But most of them I just dismiss as, oh, that's never going to happen. For some reason, this crazy thing, I decided to follow through with it. So it was a worthy and really unforgettable experience. Very, very cool.
And you sent him a CD of Up in the Air.
Yeah.
God, what's the shipping and handling on a delivery
Right?
like that?
Isn't it incredible? I mean, you have to put it in a rocket, shoot it up into space. It has to connect and dock with the International Space Station. A lot of people don't know this, but on the way up, 3 out of the 4 boosters actually failed. So I don't know if that's correct terminology, but not the boosters to get it out of the atmosphere, but when it was in space to get it into the correct orbit. So they only had 1, and it took a little longer than expected, but there was a while that we thought maybe it wouldn't happen. And those were pretty tense moments.
You could have sent him an MP3.
I could have, but they didn't want it. They asked for a CD. I thought we'd have to make something special or a flash drive or something, but that's what they have up there. Is
I'm just pleased they have a CD player in space.
I'm pleased they have something to listen to music.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine the vinyl version would just not work, would it?
Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you thought about the songs from the new album? What will be included in the set list? What will work best live?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a little bit. Certainly we'll play Up in the Air, our first single. There's another song called Birth, I think, that we'll play. Conquistador is another song I think we'll play sooner rather than later. But I'm not so sure about the rest. I don't know which ones will be played, but they certainly all will be played at some point.
And that means you must make some sacrifices from the first 3 albums then.
You got to. That's called progress.
Yeah.
We have to kill the old so the new can live.
Who from the old do you think will not
I
make
think
it
we'll
anymore?
play Kings and Queens and Closer to the Edge. We'll play The Kill once in a while, and there are songs that we enjoy playing live. I love Hurricane. I played acoustic quite a bit. Search and Destroy we'll probably play, but there are some staples. And as you can also play for longer too. We're getting better at that.
You're in a new movie coming up, Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's the first time I made a movie in 5 years. I play a transsexual in 1985 who gets AIDS and is dying. So it was quite a transformative role, and the first time that I had made a film in a long time. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah.
Why?
Too busy.
Yeah.
Just too busy.
Just with the band.
Yeah, you can't do it all. I mean, it's really hard to find 3 to 6 months to go spend on a film when you've got tours and albums and all kinds of things happening all the time. So good problems, but it's just not a lot of time to do everything. So that works for me.
Do you consider yourself a singer who acts or an actor who sings?
I just make things and share them with people. I actually do a lot of editing. Most of my days, it seems like, are spent doing art and editing, kind of design things. So yeah.
Mm. And one of the more amazing roles was Chapter 27, where you had to put on all that weight.
It was a challenge, yeah. And gaining weight is certainly harder than losing weight. And I did gain quite a bit of weight, so I'll never do that again. It was very hard on my body, and it took a long time to kind of recover from that.
And the first TV series, I think, Camp Wilder, you must have been about 19, 20 when you did that.
I didn't start acting until I was 20 years old, 21, I think. 21, actually, and I already felt too old. Everyone started before me, but I was 21 when I started to get kind of my first role here or there. The whole time I was making music since I was a kid, but I was a dropout from art school. I was studying to be an artist, a painter, and that's probably what led me to Damien Hirst and using Damien Hirst's art on the cover of our album. So visual art's always been a really big inspiration for me.
Well, Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams is the name of the album. 30 Seconds to Mars, the name of the band. Jared, good to have you here at Noise11.com.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.